All right, welcome into the long-awaited almost everything, or is that right? Almost everything we need special.
Oh, I've
I
been
get confused with the names. If this is not a somewhat close to everything we need podcast. This is the almost everything we need special.
Special.
that's of course why I'm wearing this special hat.
Yeah. So I'm here with my co-host Evan today. Evan, how are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Today we are joined with our guest, Leb, also known as Michael Abet. How are you feeling today, Leb?
So special guest, how are you doing?
So thanks for having me on. I've been here every single episode as the co-host, but it seems like this may or may not be a turning point for me. But I'm accepting of new ideas. I had a whole box here prepared, but maybe that won't be used today.
That might need to be utilized at a future episode, maybe when we actually have Evan on as a guest. But today
So you're familiar with the format of this podcast.
Yeah. So for those who are confused out there, this is Leb's episode. He didn't know this was happening, but now he's hopefully prepared for it. So I know we're prepared. So
We've been very prepared.
That means this whole script is worth nothing.
No, don't tell him that script though. We'll probably use it one day, just not today.
But whatever.
All right. So for starters, Leb,
Get that away. You're scaring me.
Sorry.
You don't want to scare Ev just yet. It's not his episode.
I guess I'll have to save that box for next time.
Yeah.
But, my Caldwell tennis shirt, I was all prepared for you, but okay. Here
Hopefully you're prepared for this. So for starters, a delicious food / treat that most people tend to enjoy in their free time is chocolate. But you, for example, not the biggest fan. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I would agree. That chocolate has been a point of contention for me for a long time. Hold on.
Ev, do you remember any times where we pressured him to maybe try it because we thought, oh wow, he'd really enjoy this?
Sorry,
It's a tasty treat.
I need one more thing here. I'm just gonna be real quick. All right, you can continue. This may not have a ping pong ball in
Oh,
it.
it definitely has a ping pong ball in it.
Okay, well, I actually do remember this one time. I don't know if Leb remembers this time, but I think we were in Matt's car, and we stopped at Quick Check to grab chocolate pretzels.
Oh, God.
One of the tastiest treats out there.
They're so good. And we're like, Leb, you need to have one. And Leb obviously was refusing. But after we, pestered him and we basically force fed him the chocolate pretzel.
He didn't have a say in the matter at a certain point.
Like,
so how did it taste?
We stopped the car to make him eat the pretzel. And,
did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I think for this story, I remember it was, I think Chubbles was in the car.
Shout out to Chubbles. We'd love to have you on in the future.
Chubbles, special shout out. I haven't seen you in a while, actually. I know he texted me. I got to call him back. But, yeah, so that was not so
pleasant. Don't really ask for your personal life information.
That wasn't the most pleasant experience. I generally don't eat chocolate things. I just don't find them, tasty. To me, chocolate is just kind of repulsive. Some people find vegetables. It just, when I eat it, it's not, satisfying. Yeah. So I ate it, and, it was, it kind of tasted like a pretzel with, a little bit of broccoli on it, if anything. It's not that good,
You know that you're, one of the only ones who doesn't really like chocolate? Has this been from, a young age, or?
Yeah, so how this began was, as a child, my mom thought I may have been allergic to chocolate, so she never let me eat it, and it kind of just developed into a general hatred of chocolate to the point where I don't eat it ever. It's really not even a thought of mine anymore. It's just kind of how it goes, so.
All right, well, I think we've about exhausted that. Leb's retarded. He doesn't like chocolate for some reason. But I wanted to jump into a segment that we regularly have on this podcast called Ev's Drawings.
My drawings.
Yeah. So I'm hoping Ev knows how to do the drawing function on this. I'm not too sure either. That's usually Leb's specialty.
Don't even worry about it. I think I'm just.
All right. So while Ev figures this out, I'm going to explain what Ev's Drawings is. So basically, Ev is going to draw something on the screen, and he's going to. Me and Leb are going to talk briefly while he gets his drawing started, and then we're going to examine what he drew. So Leb, how have you been throughout this quarantine? I know it's sort of towards the end now, but we did have a global pandemic on our hands. We're still kind of in it in this awkward in-between stage. So how did you pass that time, and how have you been doing?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of quarantine has been a very different stage for me than this end of quarantine has been. It started pretty difficult, but I think I managed to get through generally well towards the end, especially. Now that my sister has left for Boston, it's a little more freeing. I can like have a little bit more stuff to do. It's been, it's been pretty good. I'm glad that I have such, good friends that I can hang out with that'll roast me on my own podcast. It's really a good
You're
time.
actually the guest on this podcast.
Yeah, it's a good time all around.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah,
like
so-
he's throwing a bowling ball on fire, but I won't criticize him too much. Like, I think we could just, So
That's
Matt,
a pretty accurate depiction of your hair.
I think a lot of people don't really ask you how you're doing in quarantine during these.
Yeah, no one actually cares about my feelings, but
Yes, what about you? How's your quarantine experience?
at the beginning it was a little rough. It was a weird to adjust to all of a sudden being home again. But I was playing some video games, doing the schoolwork, and now kind of almost back to normal, hanging out with friends every day. Like you said, we've got some good friends, really passing time well, and I'm trying to make the most of my summer. So thank you for asking me, though.
Ooh, I know what this is.
All right, so you want to explain what you're seeing here, Lev, in this special Eb's drawing segment?
Absolutely. Okay. So, Ev threw a party. I don't remember. I think it was last summer. And I had a little bit too much to drink, and it ended up with me passing out on Ev's couch. I just fell completely asleep. His couch in the office, not his couch in the living room. So I didn't know what was going on, but Ev was responsible for me. He took my phone and texted my mom and said, Michael has passed out and he's just staying here for the night. So my mom wasn't too concerned. And I woke up around 5:30 in the morning on Ev's couch in a daze, completely confused. And I saw my wallet, keys, and phone on a chair next to me. And I was nervous and I didn't want my mom to think I didn't get home that night. So I grabbed all my stuff and ran out Ev's front door. And Ev has a Ring doorbell, so he caught the video of me just running out of the door.
Yeah, do you want to explain how this night went from your perspective?
Yeah, sure. So basically, Leb, he drank a little too much, like he usually does.
Tends to happen.
Yeah, it tends to happen. Put him to sleep on my whatever it's called, in the office, the couch. And I texted his mom because I saw he texted him saying, Leb, come home right now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, uh-oh. Let me just tell his mom that he's gonna sleep here because you were assed out. So tucked you in, then went to sleep. I woke up at like 6, okay? I go downstairs to check up on Leb. He's just gone, okay? I'm like, oh my God. I just told his mom he's all safe and sound in my house sleeping. It's only been like 3 hours or 4 hours. And I had to text Leb's mom saying, I'm sorry, Mrs. Lebet. I have no clue where Michael is. And I was scared as shit because it's like, where'd he go? I tried calling him. His phone was dead. And luckily, his mom texted me back saying, Leb's sleeping in like the living room or something.
I was sleeping in bed at the time. I made sure to get to
bed. So even this alone was a pretty funny story, and with the information we knew at the time. But then the next day, Ed was like, "Oh, I've got the Ring doorbell. Let's see if we have any footage." So I was over at Ed's house, and we're like, "Let's examine the footage."
Do we have?
So I'm going to try to show what he did here. We don't have the footage, unfortunately, but I can kind of explain what happened. So we see Lev open the door, emerge. He looks both ways, mind you, not on the road, just in the walkway. The road is still like a solid 20 feet in front of him.
His
Looks
head
both
out
ways,
of the door.
and then just takes off and sprints home. Like we thought he was just gonna casually walk home, but he decided no, it's important enough that I have to sprint home. So why was the run so important rather than just walking at that point?
Well, I knew that I had to be home before maybe 6 o'clock because my dad would wake up around 6. So I thought I need to get home as soon as I possibly can so that I miss that confrontation on my way up to bed. So I booked it, and it ended up working out for me. I didn't bump into either of my parents, and I slipped right into bed.
Your parents already knew.
Well, I didn't know that at the time.
You didn't bother, texting me or.
So my phone was dead. So to me, I had no idea who knew what and what was going on. So I just had to get home as soon as possible. That was a really fun one.
Yeah, so that's what this drawing is. Ev's drawing segment has always been one of my favorites on this podcast.
I'm really disappointed you didn't have the footage ready to be shown on the podcast, but I guess the
You
standard,
really calling out your own podcast like that?
standard isn't as high when I'm not the co-host, it seems. But
You know you contribute nothing. Anyway.
amazing drawings week to week.
So me and Evan have both been friends with you for quite a few years at this point, and throughout the years you've said a lot of dumb things. And I wrote some of them down here on this list I like to call dumb Leb quotes. So I'm going to read some of them just out loud, and you guys can analyze how you remember these quotes. So the first one here is, "It's like a steakhouse, but obviously there's no steak." So me just hearing that quote, I would say, isn't that just a house? But I'm not too sure.
That quote's not even necessarily true, because I'm pretty sure the Cheesecake Factory does serve steak if you order it.
I don't think we were talking about the Cheesecake Factory.
No, it was.
No, it was certain. No, all right, so I can explain. Basically, I was trying to describe the Cheesecake Factory as a restaurant because the Cheesecake Factory is more of an upscale kind of restaurant, and steakhouses are generally like seen as more of upper class kind of stuff. So I was trying to explain that it's like a steakhouse without the steak, but that didn't make sense in any sort of capacity.
Because they actually serve steak.
To this day, I would say the Cheesecake House is like a steakhouse without steak. It's like a steakhouse with cheesecake, though. Like I could have said that. That would have like saved my whole.
It's like a house, but it has cheesecake in it. That'd be a good way to explain it. All right, so that's one of many quotes that come here. The other one is, "No, dude, it says do not enter, not do not exit."
This is my personal favorite.
So what's going on during this one?
Okay,
this is before I got a license.
Ab, you want to explain how you remember this one going down?
Yeah, of course. So we were coming out of the Caldwell Diner, the three of us, and there's this one spot where it says "Do not enter," right? Because you're not supposed to go that way at all.
The sign clearly showed that you're not supposed to go through there.
We're like, oh, we'll just go that way instead. But Lev's like, no. It says do not enter, not do not exit, so we can
Since I'm trying to exit the parking lot.
And that's just not how it works.
Yeah, to me it seemed pretty obvious that do not enter would be from the street side. Do not enter the parking lot, even though the sign was facing the opposite way and clearly would not
Actually,
mean
a picture of the sign.
In hindsight, picture of the sign.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it.
Can you bring up some visual evidence?
Yeah, let's see.
The visual evidence is always very important in cases like these.
It's a little chilly in this. Oops, sorry. It's a little chilly in this garage. I wish I brought a sweatshirt.
So why are you in the garage this time, Leb?
So it's we're recording this like around 1 o'clock in the morning, and
We've been trying to record this for quite some time.
My parents are asleep, so they told me if I'm gonna be loud, then I should go in the garage to record. But I have a pretty cool background here. I don't know if you can see. It's a lot of my dad's, like, I don't know if it's plates or something. Like, I have no idea. It's like beer shit. Like, it's all just different beers.
That's quite boring. Anyway, let's see this
Here's
picture.
the sign. See that? Do not enter.
So it's very clear in red and everything. You're not supposed to go that way. Yet he thought it was a good idea.
Okay, he didn't have his license yet.
Yeah. He's made a lot of driving mistakes, but we'll just move on to another quote here. Something light, such as, "The Holocaust is not as bad as I thought." So explain why it was, not so bad, I guess.
When you said this.
I'd say generally that's not a quote that is good when taken out of context.
To be fair, in parentheses, I had that you were being dead serious at the time. Like this, you were making a joke. Like this was a serious comment.
So the Holocaust very clearly is something that should not be joked about. It's a very serious issue, and it's something that, but in my viewing of it, I just, for some reason, I perceived it to be a lot worse than it was. I was thinking for some reason it was around like 20 million casualties, maybe like higher, but it's more around 6. So in the car, I was
I think it's more like 10.
The Holocaust wasn't as bad as I thought. thinking like that's not a controversial thing to say since I thought it was significantly ramped up higher. But either way, like
I
generally,
think we
that's
were, I think we were actually in Fremont with like
Yeah, it was Fremont.
Victoria and Ashley.
Shout out to that Fremont though. That was a fire Fremont.
That was
junior
that was
year.
fire Fremont.
that was a fire Fremont. Was that junior year or senior year?
That was junior year.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so that one happened. Anyway, this is my personal favorite. I don't remember when this happened, like the context of it. This is just my favorite quote from you. She has a speech impediment. Do you remember this happening, or is it just something we have written down here?
I'm sure I've said, like, I usually, whenever I say speech impediment, I usually say it as speech impediment just to sound more like a speech impediment.
No, but I don't
No,
think this was
dude,
intentional.
no.
Maybe that wasn't intentional, but if it wasn't, I assume that I turned it into something that I now use intentionally.
Yeah, that's probably where it comes from.
Yeah.
It kind of worked out for me because I love saying speech impediment.
There you go. All right, moving on. He's not really a rapper, but he's referring to Chance the Rapper.
All right, that sounds worse than it is, but I think we can agree that generally Chance is less of a rapper than a lot of most rappers in the modern era can be.
He kind of classifies himself as Chance the Rapper. That is his name, his alias.
Yeah, I listen to his music. I like his rap, but I think generally he's closer to a Post Malone era or like type artist than I would say a rapper. That's why that comment was made. But it in hindsight, it doesn't really make much sense.
All right, well, we're just going to go. There's lots of quotes on this list, but I'm just going to read out one more.
Man.
Sweet Home California. What was going on there?
Oh, I was talking about this. So I went to dinner with my parents today, and we were talking about like how I know a shit ton of music. Like I know all the words to so many songs that they would never expect. And what I usually do is, if I don't know all the words exactly, I'll just kind of fill in my own words that sound similar enough and pretend like it's the real words. So for Sweet Home Alabama, I couldn't think of the state, and it kind of sounded like Sweet Home California, as if another song using California. So I just went with that and used it as fact, and it ended up being completely wrong. But
If I remember correctly from this quote, you said Sweet Home California, and then we like laughed at you for it being wrong, and then you said like another state before you said Alabama. Like you didn't even get it right away after that. I don't remember which one, but
I don't remember either, but that doesn't shock me at all.
yeah. All right, well that's all the quotes we're gonna go through. Definitely some interesting material there.
Well, we can move on to something you enjoy pretty thoroughly. 12s. Let's
been
say.
long rumored about
Oh boy.
12s, 12-year-olds.
Is this even appropriate to talk about?
If there's something you want to debunk, then it's something we just got to put out there, you know?
All right.
I'm just going to say it straight. There's rumors out there that you just have a thing for 12-year-olds. Where did that come from, and is it true?
So we were having a conversation, I want to say like sophomore year, like years ago. And I was like hooking up with someone who was a year or two younger than me when I was 16 or no, 17, I think. So it was like, I was hooking up with someone who was 16.
That doesn't check out there, but okay.
It really wasn't like that big of a deal, but
Nice.
I was like talking about it, and I'm walking with Sam and the two of you, and Sam's just like, "Oh boy, 12s," and then somehow it caught on to the point where it was a running gag for about a year, and like consistently that I was attracted to 12-year-olds, and it was always something I worried about, but in the end, like I personally, I would say I'm not attracted to 12-year-olds. That's kind of disgusting.
Mm.
But the joke has been really funny over the years. I'm glad I haven't gotten any real trouble for people saying that. But you know, in hindsight, like looking back, it was pretty funny. But like it was also like worrisome for me.
All right, so we can't really tell for sure which side of this is true. It could really go either way. If we have Sam on the show again, I think he would definitely say that Love's into 12-year-olds. But
Another factor I would add to it is all the girls that up until that point that I was with were under the height of 5'4",
5'4".
5'4" below. So it only added to the point that 12-year-olds are generally 5 foot and 5'4" and below. So it just kind of all came together.
Generally.
Sarah's 5'3" or something like that.
Who knows?
Shout out to Sarah. Have her on in the future.
5'3", I think she said. 5'2", maybe.
I believe 5'3". All All right, well, we'll explain this segment to you since you're new to the podcast, Leb. We do a trivia segment where we have our guests answer 6 trivia questions in this style of Trivial Pursuit.
I'm very aware of our trivia segment.
Oh, have you seen the show before?
I've been host of the show for multiple episodes now.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess if you think you know about it already, we can just get right into it. All right. So if you really do know this show, you should get this question right here. Who was the first Chinese writer to win a Nobel Prize for Literature? We've got A. Zhang Ailing, B. Cao Yu, C. Mo Yan, or D. Gao Xingzhen. So this has been a running gag on the podcast, this question. So if he gets this one wrong, it's quite embarrassing.
Yeah, this might be a problem. We haven't recorded this in a pretty long time. And all these names are pretty familiar. I remember it was Gao Xingzhen won it either the first time or the second time, because I remember Gao, and I'm pretty sure the other winner was Cao Yu, but that could be completely wrong. I'm gonna go with Gao Xingzhen and
Gao
just
Xingzhen.
not wrong.
All right, let's see.
Let's
He
go.
didn't embarrass himself. Not bad, not bad.
Thank you, dude. I'm so good at this.
All right, let's move on to question 2 here. Category history. How many pounds of pasta did your grandmother make when you abandoned her? A1, B2, C3, or D4?
So this question, I know the answer, but may I use my phone a friend?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a quick second. My phone a friend will be my grandma. So
you're about to call your grandma at 1 a.m.
No, I know she's asleep right now, but I have a visual clue of me calling her. So I'm just gonna play it. Hopefully we can hear it, but
What happened? You didn't come and I made 2 pounds of pasta. I'm very upset.
There you have it.
Oh wait, that's not all. I know that the question was already answered, but I have one more for you.
The follow-up.
2 dozen biscuits I made and you're not here.
So my final answer would be B, 2 pounds of pasta.
Very
Nailed
nice.
it. That's 2 for 2 right there.
Oh, but
Do you remember this day when Lev decided to abandon his grandma to come hang out with
I
us?
remember.
We probably weren't doing anything.
We're doing basically nothing.
Like every time. You could have done that with us any single day, and you abandoned your grandmother in her time of need.
Grandma, if you're watching, I deeply apologize for my actions.
There you go. 2 years later, the apology comes out. Let's jump into question 3. Category, entertainment. What did Colin say before jumping out of the building? A, farewell, brethren. B, shut up, dipshit. C, program and control man. Or D, fair enough, see you around.
What did you do? Fair all you. The correct answer is sure enough, fair enough, see you around. And shout out to Bandersnatch. What an amazing
Bandersnatch. Great
Wait,
film.
did you just say sure enough?
Yeah, sure enough is actually not the answer.
So I'm gonna go D as my final answer. Fair enough, see you around.
All right, since he said the accent, we're gonna allow it. Boom. Nails it once again.
I'm on fire.
Yeah, these questions were pretty easy, to be honest. I made them an easy one because I didn't know if he was very familiar with the trivia. So this doesn't really count towards the actual results. Well, moving on to question 4. Category, geography. Where is the almost everything we need headquarters? A, Memorial Park. B, Jefferson School. C, Ev's house, also known as the best house. And D, Versailles Diner.
So this might be a controversial pick, actually. Sorry. Versailles Diner is no longer called Versailles Diner, but if it were the headquarters, it would have to be Versailles Diner, but I'm going to have to eliminate that right away. Ev's house, I really want to pick so bad, and honestly, that should be the headquarters, because Ev's house is just so amazing. But
It is a great house.
Matt and I don't have permanent access to Ev's house at any given time.
I like your reasoning.
I'm just saying you shouldn't eliminate Versailles Diner because of the name.
No, that's not the reason I'm eliminating.
Okay.
I'm eliminating it based on my prior knowledge. As for Jefferson School, only one of us went to Jefferson School as in elementary, whereas Ev and I both went to Washington School. So I'm going to have to eliminate that right away, making the only one and clear option Memorial Park, where when I wasn't around, you guys discovered Velocimer's ship without me. So final answer is A, Memorial Park.
Very
He
nice.
nails it. Ev, do you want to explain what Velocimer ship is to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So basically, my grandma's really into into constellations.
My grandma's into making pasta.
Yeah.
2 pounds of it.
And so she told me about this one constellation Velocimer ship. And so it's a really cool one. So one day, Matt and I were at Memorial Park. Skies were very clear, stars were out, and I go, "Yo, you can see Velocimer's ship right now." And I told
And
Matt, like,
I'm not very familiar with constellations at this
Yeah.
point in time, so I've never heard of Velocimer ship.
yeah, I had to like point out each one, make the like, yo, connect the dots, okay? And then Matt saw it, and then eventually I had to tell him that I made up that whole story, and Velocimer ship is not actually a constellation.
I never heard that part of the story.
So this entire time, me and Ev at that point forward decided to start telling people about Velocimer ship every time the sky was clear. And Lev was learning for the first time now that we've been lying to him about Velocimer ship for 2 years.
That's the most devastating thing on the. You know how many people have told about Velocimer ship?
Like, that's a word I just made up on the spot. Velocimer ship.
It sounds pretty fucking stupid. Velocimer?
Yeah.
Or is it
But like, how do you come up with that? You know, it's one of those things where like, okay, it's probably real.
it's supposed to be the philosopher's ship?
No,
No,
Velocimer.
it's Velocimer ship though.
Well, that was devastating knowledge to learn. Like,
Wait, at the time, did you actually say that your grandma's into constellations and that's how you do it? I don't remember that part, but that's so
I went
funny.
through that whole backstory.
So that was very believable.
I've been doing a lot.
It's just one of my many trolls that I accomplished.
Like most of them I don't fall for, but this one, it got me. Let's move on to question 5 here. Category, sports and leisure. Which wide receiver is not top 2 all time? A, Jerry Rice, B, Randy Moss, or C, Julio Jones?
So this is a pretty solid sports question. I already understand the bias here. And how many questions? Is this question 5?
This is question 5.
This one seems pretty easy to me, love.
This one's
It
really,
shouldn't be a difficult one, but some people have very bad opinions.
this one's certainly gonna hurt my ego. I know that I have to say this to answer correctly, but at the
But-
same
But
time,
once you say it, you're admitting it's true as well.
is it worth jeopardizing my whole reputation as a press coverage podcaster to say it? But I'd rather have a reputation of a perfect quiz score, and the only way to do that is by answering this question as best I can. So the answer I'm gonna have to go with is C, Julio Jones.
So you're saying that, can you say in a sentence, Julio Jones is not a top 2 wide receiver all time?
Julio Jones is not a top 2 wide receiver all time, but he's definitely top 5.
All right, I'm just going to cut the audio clip there when I take it later. Yeah, so it's in fact Julio Jones. You got that right.
All right.
Are you ready to go for the perfect score
I'm
here?
on fire right now. Am I the greatest trivia player of all time? Maybe.
All right, let's see if we can finish it off strong. Category, science. How much pipe do you take? A, 1 pipe per day. B, 1 pipe per week. C, 1 pipe per month. Or D, infinite pipe. And take me through your thought process in this one.
Yeah, okay.
This is for the perfect score.
So this one is for the perfect score. I genuinely don't know what the answer is. I have to assume what my answer would be, but this all started when Tyler would go with his microphone and come up to me and just say, pipe a week, and then put it to
Be
my
honest, lad. Pipe
or
a day, pipe a week.
pipe a day, pipe a week. I would never generally give an answer, but I
But
guess
deep down, you always knew the answer.
so. 1 pipe a day seems so 7 pipes a week. That's generally better than 1 pipe a week, because 1 pipe a week is pretty weak, and 1 pipe a month is very weak. So I'm just gonna eliminate those right off the bat. Now, infinite pipe is intriguing, but I've also never heard infinite pipe being used in any sort of sentence like revolving around it. But seeing as how I was asked how much pipe I took so often, I can only imagine it's more than 7 pipes a week. So I'm gonna have to go with infinite pipe here.
Let's see how he's finished it off. He nails it. Infinite pipe is what Leb takes. I hope you're proud of that.
God, I'm so good. I think I'm a genius. I think I'm like, do I have the highest IQ of all time? Am I just like, oh my God?
You do go to Delaware.
He's a Delaware boy, so it only makes sense that he got the perfect score.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna jump right into something similar to that.
I got I got 5 questions more than Don. I'm
Yours was
calling
also a lot easier than
you
Dom's,
back.
to be
Come
perfectly
back on.
fair.
I'll call you out again.
All right, well, since we were just talking about Julio Jones and the NFL, you have been known to have pretty bad football opinions. We all play in the fantasy football league together. But the one thing different about your team is the person who actually drafts it. See, we actually draft our own teams, like we select our own players. But I've heard rumors that your dad actually drafts your fantasy team. So can you address that?
Yeah, so my first year playing, of course, I won the league right off the bat. And the reason that that was such a controversial topic was none of us really knew how fantasy football worked. And the only person that played fantasy football was my dad. And I asked my dad for advice before going into the draft. And I believe that I wasn't invited to the draft party that year. So everyone just
True.
assumed since I won the league, and since my team was so amazing, that the only possible answer was my dad drafted my team for me. But sadly, it is further from the truth than you could imagine. But I did end up getting Le'Veon Bell in the 3rd round of that draft, and I'm pretty sure he was supposed to go in the 1st round. So I'm just kind of amazing is all.
Yeah, so you don't really have to listen to anything he just said there. What happened was the first year, he cheated multiple times throughout the season. He's counting it as a championship win, but me and Ev can attest that he cheated multiple times. His father actually drafted his team for him. So
Throughout that season, he wants to.
So that championship really doesn't count. So Love has never won fantasy football. Anyway, jumping into the next topic.
I actually won 2 years in a row.
Yeah, both of those are really the same asterisk over the championship. No wins.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I beat you in the finals for the first
Yeah,
year.
yeah, it's because you cheated. So really, I won a championship and you haven't.
I didn't
It's
cheat.
like the Astro scandal.
You were starting 2 tight ends. I didn't cheat. Your team was just not nearly as good.
I was doing 2 tight ends and I still made it to the finals legit. So
I don't know.
Jordan Reed.
Jordan Reed had a year that year.
Jordan was next to that year. All right, there's one other thing we wanted to jump into before we have a special segment at the end.
Already at the end? This has been a blast. I wish we could just keep going.
Well, one conversation we had casually, probably about a year or 2 ago, was we were talking about like a 6-figure income. Like, oh, you make 6 figures. That's pretty good money.
You know
But
how
one
much?
day,
Let's
do you want to explain how you remember this going down?
Oh, I do remember. So basically, we're talking about 6 figures, and I was like, "Oh, that's a solid job." And Lev's like,
And I
"Nope,
agreed.
that's not good money." And I'm like, 6 figures is good money. And Lev goes, "Dude, isn't that like the average 60K in the U.S.?" And Matt and I just look at
We
each
just
other,
froze.
and we're like, "This kid thought we were talking about 60K the whole time."
Yeah.
So do you know how much 6 figures is basically, Lev? How much we're talking about here?
Yeah, so I understand now. 6 figures refers to the amount of digits in the number. So 6 figures is 100,000. But when I first heard 6 figures, for some reason I thought a figure was 10,000. So 6 figures to me equated to 60,000, and I thought 60,000 wasn't that good of a salary. So that was where my comments came from. I thought, how can 6 figures be all that good if 60,000 is like a general starting salary for most college like degree type level jobs? So
How could you possibly have explained to yourself how common that term was, though? Like, were people constantly just talking about 60K jobs?
well, I mean, I assume
And
10,000.
never like 7 figures or 5 figures. Like, people didn't really say that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for the 6 seems like a pretty round number. I basically I guessed it because I thought 6 figures was referring to generally what you want to make coming out of college. So I thought 60,000 is a fair price for what you would want to get as your starting salary. So that's where I thought 6 figures came from.
I see. Very interesting stuff. So actually, when we were preparing for this episode, we struggled a little bit because we were like, there should be so much material to roast Lev for, but we're just constantly roasting him that it's like hard to come up with good content. So we did our best here, but you know, it is what it is. But we wanted to jump into something special here at the end, since this episode is called the Almost Everything We Need Special. We really wanted to explain the name of our podcast in general and why this one has a different name. So Ab, you want to take it away a little bit here?
Yeah, sure. So, we had this group chat, right? And it was just the 3 of us. When they were in the car, in Matt's car, obviously.
Unlimited rides.
Yeah. So, Matt supplies.
For starters, they were only friends with me because I could drive and they couldn't. That's how this friend group started.
That's not true. That might be
From Ed's perspective, that's what happened.
Not necessarily true.
It was a big factor.
That's not true. So Matt had unlimited rides. Leb at the time was working at Gelati's, I believe.
Mhm.
And Evolve, maybe, I don't know. Maybe
So
both.
me and I've never had a job at this point in time, and Lev
Yeah.
had a job.
Yeah, I would wake up at like 4:30 in the morning to work at Evolve, and sometimes I would do like spin class after my work before school, and then I would get to school. I would normally fall asleep in physics class.
Were you working at Gelati's at the same time? Or no?
Yeah, I had both jobs. Like Evolve was really 1 day a week, but it was in the morning, and then Gelati was like 3 or 4 days a week, kind of. And I was working there with Chubbles, actually. Shout out again to Chubbles.
So
Troubles gotta be here.
Leb was raking in the bread, the dough, right? So he had basically unlimited money.
So far we have unlimited money and unlimited rides.
And then we add me into the group. We have unlimited diversity.
Very clearly
What more
displayed here.
could we need?
So at that point in time, we were like, let's name our group chat everything we need. Because clearly, what more could we possibly need, right? Then we rethought it a little bit. We were like, do we really have everything we need? Or are we missing one critical piece? Maybe we don't know what that piece is yet, but if we put it out there to the world, maybe in an application form, we're at almost everything we need right now. And we're gonna put out an application to see if we can get everything we need.
Exactly.
And here's that application.
Oh my god, you found it?
So yeah,
Sure.
we had a Twitter account. If you want to look it up, almost everything we need. The bio just says looking for a friend because that's what we were doing. And we made this application. So I'm gonna read through this. We do some of the questions and say you guys can maybe say what answers we were looking for at that point in time.
Like Dora all
Application
along.
is a bang.
We have almost everything we need in our friend group. We're looking for a fourth member, and by filling out this application, you're applying for that available spot. The survey is designed to see what you can bring to the table for our group.
Did anyone apply? Like, do we have any results?
Classified information, anyway.
I'm a part of it.
So it's just basic first and last name, your age, your gender, basic stuff like that. We got them all female, male, prefer not to say, or Apache attack helicopter.
Solid.
And we brought out that our friend group already has unlimited money, rides, and diversity. What else can you bring to the table? And we didn't know. So we were hoping someone could really impress us with an answer here. Not sure exactly what, but that's what we wanted to see. Then we're jumping right into, as mentioned before, what are your thoughts on 12Es? So what answer were we looking for here?
Well, I don't really know. I guess at the time I would say, since the rumor was that I was like obsessed with 12Es, that the answer would be no, I don't find 12Es in any way as a good thing, because we already had that, and everything we needed that was already covered. So if someone brought that again to the table,
Basically, we didn't need two 12-year-old lovers. Like,
We don't
that would
really
be kind of extra.
we need what we don't have, not what we do have.
But at the same time, philosophically, Leb was looking for a certain type of girl, right? Do you want to explain why their thoughts on Julia's question is in here?
Yeah, the funniest part is nowadays Matt is the only one dating a Julia. Oh no, Matt and Spencer.
And Spencer.
Yes. But I had a lot of interactions throughout my life with people named Julia, and it seemed like a constant running theme for me. So, but now we already have, again, another Julia, so it seems like we're gonna have to reject this one once again.
And this is kind of brought back to one of the trivia questions. How often do you take pipe? We have a few more options out here. It's not just you can do several times per week, several times per day. I've never taken pipe, which is just probably a lie. Like, we're not looking for liars in our group, but quite a few options. And other is always an option now, though. You never know what else they're gonna be looking for. What color are your eyes? Brown, blue, green, classic. I'm a stupid bitch who doesn't say they're brown and says they're hazel. So I don't remember exactly the context behind this, but I'm a little bit attacked because I have hazel eyes.
Oh, you say hazel?
I think it was Leb saying like the hazel's not a real eye color, even though that's what it says on my driver's license. Or I wear colored contacts, so I'm a stupid bitch.
The only person I know personally that wears colored contacts is Ardit. So if that option was selected, I think we would instantly reject you. But,
Or maybe instantly accepted. That's what we were looking for.
I wonder what other could be. I feel like we covered all the eye colors. What would someone put in? Like yellow? Like
Maybe they've got some albino red eyes or something. Who knows?
what are your thoughts on buns?
So it's very interesting because this predated the Buns clan.
How?
I don't know exactly what we're looking for, but I know the next question might explain where the joke comes from, because the next question is, what are your thoughts on buns, referring to men's asshole rather than the hair. Oh no, the hair was because everyone thought you had a bun fetish, like the hair, Leb.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I don't know why.
Can you confirm or deny this?
That.
I wouldn't call it a fetish, but I do. I think.
Did you have a men's asshole fetish?
No, of course not. But I do think buns are super attractive. So like.
You heard it here first. Leb loves men's asshole. This is going back to Leb's preferred girl. Preferred height range in a girlfriend or boyfriend. 5'4" and below is really the only option, unless you want to put an other, because I don't know why you'd be looking for that. But this one's a bit of a trick question. What race are you? White, black, it doesn't matter because we already have diversity covered. That's what we're looking for, because it really, like, it couldn't possibly matter. We have unlimited diversity.
Yeah, of course.
How many friends do you currently have? I'm not sure exactly what answer we're looking for here, but they're allowed to have 0 to 10 friends, 10 plus, or they're actually allowed to have less than 0. So maybe they've got a few enemies and no friends, perhaps.
I think if we were looking ideally for the answer, it should have been 0, so that they had no one else to hang out with, so they'd have to hang out with.
That's definitely what we were looking for at the time.
Yeah.
We wanted someone to give their full devotion to this.
But then, do we really want someone who had no friends on their own, and we just give them friends? Like it's
Well,
kind of
they have to go through a thorough process, to be fair.
That's true. This is quite a lengthy interview process.
Or maybe we just want someone to drop all of their other friends. That's probably ideally what we were looking for.
That could be the case too.
What's your favorite Pokemon? Obviously an important question in any survey. If someone says some dumbass answer here, you just want to instantly eliminate them. And then Fortnite was pretty big at this one time. How much do you play Fortnite? We were probably looking for every second of the day, I'm assuming. Playing for the dances, I mean, that's a pretty good thing to be doing as well.
The dances honestly took the world by storm. Fortnite is very well made. I think we should
remember the Fortnite song, the up all
Because
night.
I'm up all night playing Fortnite. Yeah.
Because tomorrow.
I should get my mind right.
Yeah.
That's the
I
one.
have never won in my
My
whole.
whole life.
Yeah. And I remember when we first heard that song, we probably had like 0 dubs, like very few.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a banger through and through.
And clearly we were looking for some athletic interests, so some sports teams. New York Jets, New York Football Giants, the New York Football Bills, the New York Baseball Giants, the New York Knickerbockers, the New York Tampa Bay Rangers, the New York Baseball Yankees. I don't know why the fuck we spelled Yankees like that. That's just not how it's spelled. Leb was definitely
I
typing
probably
here.
was the one who wrote this.
Yeah. The New York Baseball Mets. I don't give 2 shits about any sports. Probably not a team in New York, since really all the other options are there. So we really left it
The
open.
obvious answer for that one was anything with New York in the title. If you pick I don't give 2 shits about sport, or probably not a New York team, I feel like that's not something we would have been looking for.
Probably not. And here's an interesting one. It's what is your IQ? But you must be honest. Like, you're not allowed to lie for this one. We put some ranges in. So I don't know. What IQ do you think we're looking for in our friend?
I mean, we don't want a bot, right? Like we
Because we already have Leb.
We have a bot covered, we have our genius covered, and we have our mid-range. So
And
really,
the fact that our genius provides diversity is really, really clutch.
so I feel like any range is good. I think 0 to 45 would be an instant rejection because that would be difficult to manage. But
To say the least.
45 to 75 is also pretty beat. But you're not. I mean,
Like babysitting.
you're pretty dumb if you're in that range. But we'll give you a pass maybe if we feel bad for you.
Next question is, what do you think my IQ is? Hint, it's not other. I believe this was Leb's, and he was trying to flex his IQ because for some
128?
reason,
180, yes.
for some reason, he took an IQ test and got like a really high score, and he was like, "Dude, look, I'm in the genius range."
Hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, our bot is a genius. I don't know how that one happened. And then this is apparently a very important thing. Watch this video.
Yes, dude.
Oh, I can't hear it.
Yeah, so I believe the audience could hear that. You guys already knew what it was. You're my dad, boogie woogie woogie.
Woogie, woogie, woogie.
And then we asked them to write a brief essay. What did you think of this video? So I mean, I'm assuming we're looking for positive reactions.
That was a very that question would be telling. If someone was like, I can't believe they cooked up Peppa Pig, then I don't know, that's probably a rejection right there. Like, come on, that bacon looks pretty damn good.
I agree. We're getting to the end of it here, but a very important question. Do you have any syndromes? See, the thing is, I don't think we were necessarily looking for no. I think we were looking for like a certain special
We're definitely
syndrome.
looking for some syndromes.
Yeah, some good syndromes that we didn't already have to really expand what we were looking for. Because again, we don't know what we were looking for. We just felt like we had almost everything we need, but not everything we need.
Damn, bro, this survey's long.
Yeah, I think this is the end here.
Oh.
Why are you applying to this position, and why should we pick you instead of all the other applicants? Clearly, we had very many, and we wanted them to elaborate here. So this was their chance to really wow us, show us they deserve this last spot in the friend group. So yeah, didn't end up working out. We got 0 applicants. Very unfortunate.
I'm pretty sure we had like 2 people apply.
Not sure about that.
We also never posted it on the Twitter account, and we never like.
No, we did. We posted it on the Twitter, but the Twitter had 0 followers. So
I know we made the Twitter, but are you sure we like put the link?
that's how I found the link. It was
Okay.
on the Twitter, so it's out there.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So since this is almost everything we need special, our podcast is called the Somewhat Close to Everything We Need podcast. Since me and Lev are the 2 hosts, obviously we're lacking diversity, so we're only somewhat close to everything we need. But that about wraps up our episode. Ev, thank you for being a great co-host. You
Thank
really
you,
helped
and,
carry the load here.
Thank you, Leb, for being a good guest, of course.
Great
I'm
guest.
filling in for my drawing segment. Otherwise, like, that was pretty weak performance.
So
Yeah.
Lev, we give all our guests a chance to rebuttal at the end. Do you have anything you want to say?
I mean, I have nothing like prepared, of course, because this is a surprise for me. I'm a little disappointed that you guys didn't really roast me a little more. I don't know, maybe I did get pretty roasted with my quotes. Like, I had a good time. I mean, hold on. I'm just gonna put this back on.
The friendly roasting podcast, Leb. Come on. Oh.
It was pretty friendly. So
That might be a preview for when we have Ed back on again for his episode.
I will return as a guest.
So I hope you return soon, because this was a blast. I know, even though this was turned on me and considered the Everything We Need podcast, we're gonna have to do the Almost Everything We Need podcast too, and hopefully that'll be coming up soon in rotation, because we do have your episode prepared. But otherwise,
Ready anytime.
Yeah, I think coming up, calling you out, Leah. We've been waiting to roast you this whole time. You were scared at first, but I think you're ready to come on. So maybe after that one, we're going to have Ev back. I know we mentioned Troubles quite a few times. We'll see what happens with that, though.
So this has been fun. I think I'll save my roasts for when we have Ev's episode, and then for when I turn it on you potentially in the future. So
Yeah, you won't pull that off. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I know it's been long awaited, but hopefully we get some more consistent episodes coming out now. And we'll see you next time.